and within that very day approved and declared and directed for an official burial. Your Excellency, I thank you so much. Your Excellency, since that day, we had had many people who have given us an helping hand. I want to thank the Right Honorable Speaker and Deputy Speaker and Parliament for stepping in from Tuesday until Friday to support us in the Ministry of Gender and Government, as he is a member of Parliament, and they have been feeding the mourners until Friday. I want to thank Parliament and the Right Honorable Speaker and Deputy Speaker. And after Friday, I want to thank others who have made a contribution that has supported us up to yesterday when we took over on behalf of government as the National Organizing Committee. I want to recognize the contribution made by entities in the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, support from Nssf, they are here represented. You can stand up for recognition. Then the workers' representative, Koftu and Noto, who has made a contribution, they are here. Then the entity, the National Council of Persons with Disability and others. Your Excellency, Honorable Okelingola was in charge of other activities outside Uganda. I had assigned him to handle IGAD matters, East African Community. He was also handling issues to do with African Union. And in his tenure, he made friends out of this country. And today, the Republic of Kenya is represented here by the Minister of Labor and Social Protection, the Honorable Minister, Honorable Florence K. Bore, who flew in yesterday, and I request you, Your Excellency, that she gives a message, because in the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, in charge of labor, employment, and industrial relations. Honorable Kelingola was a fearless fighter, committed NRM leader, a loving husband, father, grandfather, and exceedingly humble spiritual warriors. And many people didn't know that actually Honorable Kelingola was a very prayerful person. He dedicated his entire life to serving the people of this country, the army, government, and God the Almighty. Like all men of courage, the death of the Honorable Colonel retired Charles Okelingola has generated mixed reactions, a few of them cowardly. Social media has been awash and creating their own theories that the cause of the death and this senseless murder was due to lack of payment. Others even going to celebrate and starting to condemn government officials for mistreating their bodyguards, drivers, and domestic workers. Your Excellency, we do not associate with this cowardly, reactionary tendency with the tendency that should drive our country. And I do not want it to be associated to any religious or ethnic groups in this country. We take it as those who were doing that were individual, indisciplined people. For I know of no any religion or African culture where retribution is meted on the dead. It is not part of our African culture. In our Luo language, it is called joke. The debate, Your Excellency, should have been, how do we isolate individual indisciplined people who takes the law in their hands? Your Excellency, while we should acknowledge that it is the right of citizens to hold government accountable for its action or inactions, but it is a responsibility of those citizens to hold government accountable, but also hold individuals to carry their responsibility and to respect others and be sensitive to the national debate. The said private servitor had been with the minister for hardly 1 month. If he had disgruntlement in respect to money, sure, it couldn't and cannot be with the retired Colonel Okelengola, the minister, whom he had served for less than a month. There must be another reason why he killed the honorable minister. It had nothing to do with money. Even if money was involved, Your Excellency, the root of his financial stress had nothing to do with the Honorable Colonel Okelengola. It had nothing to do with Okelengola. Okelengola does not pay people. He doesn't. He's a minister. We therefore call for civil discourse on the matter. And the discourse should be anchored on facts, on evidence, and historical evaluation of the record of the private servitor. We will wait for the report of the investigators to tell us what triggered and caused the several bullets mented on the innocent, gallant soldier who had survived the LRA war only to be killed during peaceful time, which he played a part in its restoration. It is saddening. I knew Colonel Okelengola as a leader in 2001 when I was elected as the woman member of parliament for Apache district. And my work required me to tour the internally displaced camps. That time, the Honorable Minister for Disaster Preparedness, Honorable Tassis Kabwejere, requested me to join him in touring the IDP camps so that we sensitize our people to leave the IDP camps. And when we toured and we reached my home in Minakulu, he indicated to me of a Lango son who was manning Brigade 501 in Opit, which is in the current Omoro district, bordering Lango sub-region, but Omoro is in Acholi. And because of its neighboring Oyam, Opit was also undertaking Minakulu and Zambia, where I come from. Honorable Tassis Kabwejere told me about Okelengola, who had done very good work together with the UPDF. And while we toured, we later went back to dismantle the IDP camps, and in one of the meetings, the professor recognized the contribution of the Honorable Okelengola Machodwogo. The Honorable Minister had a very honest empathy and a strong place for the people of Lango in his heart. The name Machodwogo was not given to him by his family or his clan, but by locals from Minakulu, where he was covering. And he manned that Brigade 501 based in Opit with a lot of support and engagement with the local communities. That time, Minakulu had become a source of food for the rebels, who frequently raided the sub-county for food. And so Oyam became one of the districts in Lango and Acholi whose residents were ordered by the then commander of the army to leave their homes and be in IDP camps within 48 hours to pave way for the army to fight the LRA insurgency. When he was deployed in 501 Opit, he fought relentlessly, and within months, the rebels had been repulsed from Minakulu, where I come from. I want to thank him for making me be a beneficiary of his hard work. That is when the locals were able to go back home and light fire to cook their own food and till their own land. At the time, they were depending on World Food Program handouts and ratio. To our people at that time, the issue ceased to be a matter of political parties. It was a matter of life and death. He became the warrior who did the most important of all things another human being could do to another, restoring the human dignity. After the camps were dismantled, the local community gathered and gave him the name Macho Duogo, meaning we used not to cook, because if you cooked, the smoke would alert the rebels, and the rebels would attack, knowing that in that area there are people. So people used not to cook with firewood during evenings. So the name Macho Duogo was an appreciation, an expression of rewarding him with a name that he worked to make people return back home. He later was promoted and retired from the army, which paved way for him to stand as LC5 chairman, Apache district at the time. And in the middle, Oyam became a district. And he said, I want to serve the people of Oyam. I will resign from my seat, because it was me and him. As a woman MP, I was asked also to choose whether to resign or remain in Apache as a woman MP. For him, he chose to resign from Apache and went and contested again for Oyam within the same period, just after about months serving as Apache District LC5. And he was elected with 93% of the votes. Your Excellency, that is the time when I confirmed that to an ordinary person, an ordinary Ugandans living out there, peace and security can be the only demand from a leader, because it is the facilitator for all the needs. And in all the subsequent elections for Honorable Kelingola, it was not about what he did. Everybody would go to vote and say, Macho Duogo. We are going back to return Macho Duogo, because he brought for us peace. It really tells us the central role peace plays in any community. In 2001, Your Excellency, you appointed him as a Minister of State in the Ministry of Gender. Both me and Okelingola comes from Oyam district. And so when there were many lists that kept on coming, when this one came, many of us also thought it was the same lists that were just scammed lists. But I don't know where he got his source. He called me laughing so loud and said, my boss, I'm at your service. And that was Okelingola. He would write for you a report even when he has attended only a workshop. So, Your Excellency, in the ministry, he has been in charge of negotiations, engagement, and implementation of labor issues. IGAD EU, overseeing inspection of workplaces, which he has done so well. coordinating our involvement with industrial court, and supervising and compensation and labor dispute. But even when he was in the Ministry of Gender, Your Excellency, it did not deter him from his passion for military service and peace. Recently, before his death, he had sought permission, and his meeting with the general was part of the discussion of how he can work together with our ministers in defense and internal affairs to ensure that the Karamojong insurgency is curtailed. So, Honorable Kelly Ngola, the Minister of State, will remain one of the pillars of Lango, and his death as our person from Oyam is a painful death. But as I conclude, I want to remind the mourners that all of us here, that after the return of peace in northern Uganda, we have joined hands for nation building. And Your Excellency, that's why I'm here. That's why Honorable Mao is seated in this congregation. Because as leaders from the north, we are saying we want to focus on the important debate of national and historical contribution we can make, and how we can join hands to forge a common front for a united and prosperous country for all. That is what guided the actions of our fallen son, and that is what should guide our action. It is not a roller coaster, but it has never been for any country. It's not an easy thing to build a nation. We must keep going responsibly, knowing that we are all part of this family called Uganda. To my people in Lango, the soldier who killed our son, Honorable Kelly Ngola, was an employee of the state. He used the gun given to him by the state to execute his duty of protecting Honorable Kelly Ngola, to instead commit a criminal offense punishable by the laws of Uganda. Unfortunately, he killed himself. We cannot therefore condemn the people of his tribe or clan for a crime he committed while on state duty. I appeal to you, the people of Lango, that we can only call upon government to support the family, considering that the death of their breadwinner and our leader was not expected, and that he died in the cause of performing state duty. And secondly, to call upon the investigating arm of government to do a thorough job and tell us the cause and what propelled Private Sabiti to kill the Honorable. To the widow and family, we have no doubt that our sadness and sorrow are nothing compared to the pain and agony that was visited on you that fateful Tuesday, when your beloved husband, father, was murdered by the one who was meant to protect him. Only God knows how to heal you. And I want to end by saying, may the memory of his conviction and action shine a light on our path, and may his soul rest in eternal peace. With that, I now invite the Right Honorable Prime Minister to invite His Excellency the President.
Condolences from the Office of the Prime Minister following the demise of our brother, the Minister of State, Labor and Employment, the Honorable Colonel Retired Charles Patrick Okero Engora Machodwogo, which occurred on the 2nd May this year. Your Excellency, like many other people have said, I want to thank you for granting our brother, the late Engora, an official burial. It is because of this that government has taken over all the burial expenses so that our brother is given a befitting send-off. I want to take this opportunity to once again thank the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Ministers, the Honorable Members of Parliament, for your moving eulogies to the Honorable Engora in the House yesterday, where I moved a motion to pay tribute to our brother. Your Excellency, a number of requests came up yesterday in Parliament, and I know you know how to handle this better than anybody. The requests definitely will go through you to Cabinet, and I know you usually give us guidance. And I had some of these requests being brought forward here. I want to thank everyone who is standing with government and the bereaved family in this sorrowful period. Like everybody has said, the late Engora was a very strong cadre of NRA. He was a brave man and a selfless leader in the military and politics. Your Excellency, I want to say that all that people have said about Engora is a correct record. I don't want to waste your time. But I want to emphasize one point, that while we mourn the loss of our brother, Honorable Engora, others celebrated his demise through jokes on social media. I condemn this practice because it is inhuman and immoral. Your Excellency, let me take this opportunity to invite you to speak to the mourners. Thank you so much. May